Okay, not a bad day. Uh, you know, basically on 150K accounts, trade three of them with Top Step, or you trade three of them with TPT, or three of them with My Funded Futures. You can do 750, 800 a day on a 150K account. That's pretty good. So there's 2,800 and change. Um, I thought today was kind of easy, even though we had a very narrow range. There was a lot of containment of price from institutional side. I'll go over that real quick, show you what I was working. You can see it here. I hit some of this action earlier, and then I definitely hit pivots. Where's the pivots I hit? Yeah, this pivot I hit. That pivot I hit, and I hit a little bit in the overnight session or pre-market. But yeah, I hit the rotations here and the rotations here, and was working a little bit in one of the other rotations. But all in all, it was a pretty narrow range day. We're getting a little bit of extension down to the downside here, the end part of the day, which doesn't surprise me. Huge antitrust lawsuit against Apple, and Fed day's over with now. So anyhow, let's take a look at the day. But yeah, if you're trading 350K accounts, and you can do, even if you can just do 700 per account, it's 2,100 a day on three accounts at 700 apiece. So anything over that is pretty darn good. On 300K accounts, if I can get even, around 1,100, 1,250-ish per day per account. On Apex, you can trade 20, and some of the other ones you can trade up to 20 accounts. So that's enough for me each day on a per account basis. But let's take a look at some of this action that I was hitting. We did have that big push in the overnight session, Asian session, through the opening of the EU session, and had rotation. So actually, let me use this drawing tool. So I did hit this area a little bit, and we were lifting higher pivot lows and a flip. So no sense hanging on to any runners. I didn't play any long side action. Then we came into the US cash session open. So, I'm a levels guy. I like to watch and track levels. So right at 8:30 US Central Time, had a little bit of dip and lift, so I'm sitting on my hands, and then we get a sell setup. We got lift in rotation. I added because I now have my highest pivot. We're way gapped up over the yesterday's close, and I'm getting a lower pivot high. And then rollover. I talk about these price programs, patterns in all my training. And then I'm in this thing, and I was just continuing to watch what looked like institutional absorbing. And the selling wasn't that heavy, so it didn't take a lot of work by institutional side as they keep running the 0 DTE options / futures buying to try to tow the markets higher. So this here, though, if you see this W pattern that formed in here, there was a couple of them. There was one here in lift. Now we're still Dodger blue, so I'm paying attention to this. Then we kind of made another one, and we're lifting. And that was the one I bailed on. I'm like, okay, this sucker's holding. They're not going to let it break through. They're probably going to run it back up to the high, and I'll just play again up there. So I'm sitting on my hands, If you were still short and then you saw this W pattern and lift after an ascension of higher pivot lows, it's screaming at you it's not going down. And then we had lift. Now I could see somebody jumping in here long if somebody's thinking we're going to make a run up to the high and do a little probe higher, and then it stalled out. So hey, no big deal. You get in long and it stalls out and you get a short signal, hey, no big deal, get out. Wait for another setup. Then I did have one long on the day. We barely made a lower low, just barely. So we had a level sweep on the initial morning trading low. And we have this beautiful W pattern. And then we had lift. And I put in some liquidity right here, and I thought if I get the long signal, I'll add. I added, and it just died. And after making lower pivot highs, I got out just slightly below my cost basis. And I sat on my hands, and we got another nice W pattern. I took another shot, very light, and that one ran a bit. So never broke above the prior high, but that one played out and it grinded a bit, and then we came up, basically to that high, and I'll call that a levels test. Much rather be short in this market. We got the short, as you could see on that Trade-of-8 chart. I was pounding the heck out of this area, and that's where I made most of the money on the day, was on this move. Since, the market was unable to break out higher and rotate, I figure at worst we'll come down to this area and challenge it. And if we can range extend through it, I'm way over daily goal on the day, and that played out pretty nice. So we ended up having really nice move down below, actually. So very nice. Institutionals doing their absorption of the selling games. As soon as they see sellers coming in, you start running these 0 DTE options and futures buying to kind of keep lifting price out of that area to dissuade sellers. Because sellers are thinking, okay, they're going to run it back up and probe much higher. And they almost did. So let's just take a quick look at this. We'll put a horizontal level here. And, basically, that's a levels test. So I had a classic levels test and rollover, and that one paid me nice. So if I'm short and I'm in the middle of the road, I'm not on one of my levels areas. I call this the middle of the road where you get run over. I cover this a lot in training. And then I'm short and I see a big, fat, beautiful W pattern and lift, I am just done. I'm letting go. It's not going to work. If I short it again and then I see a big, fat W pattern and lift, I'm just getting out of there. I'm letting go, especially in a market that just can't really break down much. Every time we probed a little bit lower, buying came in. Probe a little bit lower, buying came in. Probe a little bit, buying came right in. So if you were long scalping all day off each little level sweep, that was not bad. But who in the hell wants to be long scalping a market that's just had a massive, overnight session rally, and, we had the Apple news. The market should have been down a lot today just on that alone. Because there's probably more DOJ actions ahead, likely for some other firms, like maybe a Google, for instance. So we'll see. But yeah, then we got the sell, and that's where I made the bulk of my money today, and that worked out. And again, we started getting some ascending pivots. Have what looked like a W. We're lifting. Okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. I got enough of a move. I'm out of here. So this is a crud fest. And why is it a crud fest? We're not near any key resistance, and we're sure in heck not anywhere near any key level of support. I would say the first area that might be kind of a somewhat, important level of support would be in here. Not up here. There's nothing here. So this to me is plain. I'm playing in the middle of the road. Here's the curb on one side. Here's my near-term support, my near-term resistance. When you're in the middle of the road, that's where you get run over. I like playing the edges of the road. That's from a microscopic look of the market. If I want to go to a macro, more of a macro look, I got support from this pivot here and this pivot here. I got some support down here. That would be something more prevalent because that was formed in the end part of an actual day session. This was support that was built in the overnight session on much lower volume, so it's not as prominent to me. Support that's built during the times of day when there's the most significant participants and the highest amount of volume is the support and resistance areas that mean the most to me. So it wasn't surprised. We chewed through that and worked our way lower. We're just chopping around here. So let's take a look at some of these rotations. This is kind of my bigger picture look chart using the iGRID. Let me go take a look at the more responsive, and I'll show you how clean some of these rotations were, especially this levels test and rotation lower. Let's go take a quick look at that. So there was that high push and then rotation right after the US session opened. So 8:30 we opened, we pulled back, had that big push over prior pivot highs and rotated. Lower pivot high, rotated. Beautiful areas to work in some liquidity. Came all the way back up, finally got a levels test, rotated, never looked back. No long signals till right here. And we had a W pattern in there. That one I ignored. I stayed short because I was just in runners, but somewhere in here, yeah, I think just seeing this big W pattern and this action in here is where I bailed. No, it was right there. Yeah, I did bail right there. That was a W pattern and lift, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm way over daily goal. So I use a responsive chart, and this is just the iGRID. I don't even have the iGRID Evo for here. I'm just so used to using this. I'll probably throw in the iGRID Evo, but I like these settings I'm using a lot. Now let's go take a real quick look. We got the iGRID Evo Auto. It's finalizing, getting it ready to put out to my beta group, small group of beta testers. So we'll have our first version of that going out to those part of the NT8 beta group. Once I, deploy it, get some feedback, add any settings or any other good ideas. We're going to have time window. We're going to have daily dollar amount stop loss settings, daily profit target, where if it hits the profit target on the day, it just flattens everything. We'll have all those typical features. We're going to have a stops, fixed stop and targets on every single entry, whether it's a primary flip entry or an add entry. You will have the ability to use it as a static trading system or a dynamic. So let's just take a quick look at some info I covered the other day on it. We get a momentum shift. We put on a primary entry. In this case, it'd be short. We had some qualified add entries on the way down. One of the ads came out at the next flip point as a loser. All the other ads were a winner on this particular period of time. Then we had one entry in a primary. The entry then was exited. So every one of these entries does have its own stop and target over and above the other aspects of the automation that would terminate the trade and close out positions as we change directions. So when we get hard runs of price, we get multiple entries. We're pyramiding in. There's little garbage flipping back and forth. We're usually only in one or two entries, so not a big deal. Even some shorter runs of price, we can get in those. We have a couple entries will make money, one that won't. But the primaries of bigger position size and the ads, the way I run it, that setting is trader adjustable. So you still come out okay in a trade like that. But then when it hard runs, you get loaded up and make a decent hit. And so on. Nice hit there, nice hit there. So we will have the iGRID Auto or Evo Auto out. I could possibly have it released mid to later part of the day tomorrow at the earliest. Might drag into the weekend. So far, I haven't had to work on anything with the programmer on the final wrap-up work. And just want to do some more testing of the last version that I told him, hey, let's do it this way and organize the settings this way. So yeah, we're right there, light at the end of the tunnel. We'll get it out and get the beta group up and running, and then get input from all you beta testers, and then we're off to the races, and we'll move it to a quarterly subscription model. And then the only way to get access to it is you'll have to take part in a multi-day online kind of streaming event where I'll show you how to use it, how to load it, and all that. But anyhow, if you have any questions on the iGRID system, we got the TradingView version on deck soon. We got it in MT4, MT5 C Trader. So info@gridalgo.com for any questions.